Welcome back to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while giggling, snorting, pulling no punches, and generally being awesome. Today, we're starting out with a Patreon shout-out because our patrons are amazing, we are so thankful for them, and they deserve to be worshipped forever. Kimberly L, you are descended from Priapus, a rustic god of abundance, guardian of domesticated animals, a protector of bees and gardens, and a fixture in humorous tales. You are a wonderfully sweet soul who connects easily with animals, and you serve as a refuge to many, animal and human alike. You project a safe, protective vibe without trying, and yet you manage to also be boisterous and fucking hilarious. Finally, and I'm not sure if anyone has told you this before, but you give off some serious BDE. That's big dick energy for the uninitiated. You can thank Priapus for that too, because he had a famously large penis. So, get on with your bad self, Kimberly, and never change. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving, American HBs. It's Thanksgiving week. We have a themed episode for you, so get ready for our breakdown of Thanksgiving by Janet Evanovich. It's a book where pretty much everything seemed to come out of nowhere and provided much hilarity. Here we go. Hi, Erin. Hi, Erin. Hi, Erin. Hi, Erin.
Melody.
It's really nice to see your face.
It's nice to see your face. It's been a little bit because we've been recording with authors lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is our Thanksgiving episode, and I am super, super thankful for you.
I'm thankful for you.
Yeah.
And the podcast and the listener.
Yeah.
And the listener has listened to our podcast 500,000 times. I don't know how she, he, or they managed to do it.
I don't either.
But that person managed to click download 500,000 times. Well, more now. Now it's a lot more.
Listener, thank you for your dedication.
Yeah, thank you.
And your diligence. I don't even think
that's physically possible with the laws of time.
I know. And day jobs.
But you did it.
Woo.
Good job. Good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're making us feel really, really good, listener. And for that, we salute you and we bow down to you simultaneously. That's right. So, Erin, a new thing has happened in my house.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Is it Valor doing sleep deprivation exercises on you?
Oh, that's still going. Yes.
Oh, good.
It's not as bad, but it is definitely still going. No. An international sensation has hit our house. A phenomenon, if you will.
Did you start listening to K-pop or something?
Oh, no.
That seems like something would happen to you. Anyway, what's up?
Nope. Ember discovered Frozen for the first time.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, wonderful. Incredible. Just in time for the second one.
Just in time for the second one. But seriously, he now will decide Alexa should play the same song in a row at least 10 times, and then he'll switch to a new song. Today, it was, do you want to build a snowman first?
Oh, God, it was the worst one of all.
I know. And then there's this one, I think it's the first song. It's like Frozen Head or Frozen Mad.
Frozen Head is not a song from Frozen. I'm pretty confident in this. Frozen Head.
I don't know, but I can't remember it because he can't remember it. And so he'll be like, Alexa, play Frozen Head song. Alexa.
Yep. Is he articulate enough to get Alexa to light up?
About 50% of the time. Yes.
Okay.
A lot of times he mumbles at it. A lot of times he'll be facing the wrong direction. A lot of times he's eating a cracker simultaneously. But yeah, he is super into it. I will randomly hear throughout the house him just going, let it go. It's Frozen Heart. I was close, bitch. I was close.
That's much more like a song sounding than Frozen Head.
I'm sorry. I would be a Frozen Head around Elsa.
Yes, you would.
The most fun thing was watching him process a new story. Because I was like, what happened this time? And he was like, Mom, Elsa and Anna said a lot of words. And then Elsa got so mad. And then she turned blue. And then, and
then she created life. Yeah. That is one of Elsa's powers. Not only can she make things cold and make snowstorms, but also create life, which I feel like is a really unexplored part of Elsa's power. I feel like animating things into living beings should be explored more in the Frozen movies.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe in the second one we'll get that.
Yeah,
but I doubt it.
And some hot, who is it, Sven kissing? What's his name?
No, Sven is the reindeer.
Yeah, he could kiss
you're looking
too.
for Kristoff.
Kristoff.
Yeah, and I just really hope there's just some rated R, just some really great...
some Kristoff porn.
Yeah. God, no. No, that would ruin it for me, I think. I'm sure that exists somewhere, and I think that would really ick me out to the worst. My vocabulary is doing great today.
The most diligent
really
listener in the land, please do not email us Kristoff porn. Thank you.
Do not.
Yeah, don't do it.
Do not. And please know that I'm not looking for it.
Right.
Just want that to be said. Right.
Okay. So, Erin.
Yeah, we read a book.
We did that.
Technically.
It took us a while.
It did.
To do it.
We haven't recorded together in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And the only thing we had to do in this last 3 weeks was to read a 250-page book, which is not hard. In fact, at the beginning of this 3 weeks, I thought, maybe I'll read a book for pleasure.
Yeah, same.
I didn't.
No.
I couldn't.
No, didn't.
Because I kept chipping away at this thing.
And I was just avoiding my Kindle a lot of times because
I
didn't
I don't want to look at it right now.
I didn't want to.
Question.
Okay, yeah, Erin, hit me with it.
Is this the worst book we've read for the podcast? And I want you to be thinking about it.
Okay.
Shades of Vampires.
Ooh, yeah.
A Knight in Shining Armor.
Oh, no. Listen, that one, the characters tracked, even though they had wacky tracking.
Hey, I'm asking if this is worse, and that sounds like you are saying it was worse.
Yeah. Definitely.
The one with the Vikings. What was that?
Also,
and
that was
what's
really
her face?
Good writing.
Yeah,
we
a lot
just
of
hated
rapes,
it.
but very dark. Good writing. I believe this to be, and also I just want to say One More Blue, own category. We're not even
how
gonna
dare it.
How dare it. It's just its own thing. We're not gonna compare poor Janet Evanovich to One More Blue.
National treasure fucking Janet Evanovich does not deserve that.
We're not, no. But at the same time, I think this may be the worst book I've read for the podcast because I hated it so bad.
Yeah, the characters didn't make any sense ever. Every single character's personality was the same style of quirkiness.
Oh,
which is not a personality.
No, quirk is not a personality. And this is the story of two insane people who are terrible in every way towards themselves, each other,
and me,
and society. And Melody specifically falling in love? Like, did they fall in love? Or did they just resign themselves? Did they decide to be in love?
Or did they gaslight each other until both of them were so gaslit they thought it was love?
That's a great theory. I feel gaslit by the book.
Me too!
Because I would be reading and just be like, did I miss something? And by something, did I miss book? Was there book? Because I feel like I missed book, but I did read book.
I read all of book.
I hated book, Melody. And I love Stephanie Plum, but I hated book.
Same. I love Stephanie Plum.
I hope this isn't just like what all of her romances feel like.
Listen, I think this predates Stephanie Plum.
Does it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. This is like
2009.
88, I think.
No. Really?
Yeah, I'm going to look again. I remember
Google
it being like the 80s. Yeah.
Well, I was complaining about it at Romance Book Club yesterday to my friend Karen.
Yeah.
And she looked it up and said it was 2009. So.
Oh, God damn it. Really?
Yes.
No, that's not possible. Thanksgiving, copyright circa 1988 by Janet Evanovich.
Oh, good. Okay.
Copyright 2006 by Evanovich.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
she
think it
must
was
have just been
republished.
looking at a new version of it. Okay.
Yeah, this book was originally published as a
my
love-swept paperback in 1988.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay.
That's why. This
If
is a
anyone
very,
has that
very
88
early work.
cover, I would like to see it.
Same.
Because when HB Emmy, I believe it was, sent us her Prince Joe cover from like 1980 Schmurf,
With the sex
or 1996 or whatever. It was so good. That quaff. Okay. It makes me feel a little bit better because I did see there were parts of this that felt Plum-esque.
Yes.
And I was worried that she was just like forcing a romance that really wasn't, like maybe romance is not her comfort area. And that kind of felt forced. But now I'm just realizing it's probably before she evolved.
Yeah, because because here's the thing. Stephanie Plum series was partially brilliant because she was a grounding force in a very chaotic universe.
Yes. Everybody else was crazy.
Exactly. And this book, every single main character reads like a Stephanie Plum side character. On crack.
Yes.
On
even
speed.
more so.
Yes. So let's do it. We have two sociopaths. What are their names?
Megan,
and Patrick.
Pat. Why?
Patrick.
And if you're going to have a Pat, describe him sexy. Like,
he's not.
A non-sexy Pat.
Mm-hmm.
He's cute. He has a cute face.
He's got a button nose about him.
And the first 2 pages of this, I was about it. We've got Megan Murphy.
Yeah.
She is wearing her period costume because she works at Colonial Williamsburg.
Fuck yeah, she does.
A fact that sounds like it's going to come back because of the setting, but doesn't really because she forgets about her job there, it seems like, for the rest of the book.
Or maybe she only works on the weekends?
She does only work on the weekends.
Yes.
However, later in the book, she decides to, like, move away.
Yes.
And there's no discussion of, like, her job at Colonial Williamsburg ending or whatever. Anyway, so she works there. So she's in her period dress and leaves are crunching all around. Yeah. It's fall. It's beautiful. What a crisp breeze.
This pumpkin slut was about it.
Yeah. Like, tits out for pumpkins. Like, she's opening up her, like, scone or what. She's got, like, a scone and, like, a PSL, like an 88 PSL.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm all for, because I know I like her writing.
Same.
So, like, I'm all in. And then page 3 hit.
Yep.
And this bunny comes up.
There's a fucking bunny.
Which also kind of never comes. I was thinking that this bunny would be like a cute character throughout. No,
it
Bunny's
comes up
gone.
one more time at Thanksgiving dinner. That's it.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
I think they starve this bunny because nobody feeds it. Nobody cares about it. This poor bunny.
Okay, so it comes up. It's eating her dress. And she is like getting her dress away from the bunny. The bunny is cute or whatever.
Holy Toledo, she shouted.
Oh my gosh. Her exclamations and his are all... He's very like, for devil's sake all the time. Like, oopsie daisies, like that kind of stuff. And it's just like, I think it's meant to be endearing.
It's not to me.
But the thing is, everything about him is like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's super hot but, or super has it together but, or is like, it's not like he has one quirky thing. It's all weird quirky things. And together that does not make an attractive man to me. So he comes up, it's his bunny. Another quirky thing about him.
He's also wearing white tennis shoes that had seen better days. The laces were broken and tied in knots, and the left shoe was stitched together with what appeared to be surgical sutures. Trying to steal my rabbit, huh?
Yeah.
A voice said from far above her.
What a hot, sexy man with just the sexiest, disgusting tennis shoes. Like, is that supposed to endear him to me? I was just like, bleh.
You know what? I just didn't understand what it was for. Later on, it's supposed to be that he's a pediatrician with a fledgling practice, and so he's trying to save as much money as possible in some ways.
How about this? Don't live in Colonial fucking Williamsburg.
Right.
I mean, don't have a bunny. Don't make applesauce for fun and burn it. Like, there's so many things this guy could do to cut back on expenses that don't involve, like, shoe stitching together. Just go to fucking a Target and get $10 shoes, my man.
Yeah, you're supposed to be a professional that people put their children's lives in the hands of.
Yeah. If I went into a pediatrician's office and the pediatrician had broken, dirty shoes that were stitched together with his surgical implements, I would be like, no.
Check, please.
Yeah,
I gotta go.
I'm done.
I'm gonna drive to not Colonial Williamsburg for any other doctor.
Yeah, that's also an issue. You don't want a Colonial Williamsburg doctor. You need a modern type doctor. But his practice is not in Colonial Williamsburg. But anyway, they have like, I guess, banter about the rabbit, where he's like, get your dress away from my rabbit, and she's like, get your rabbit away from my dress.
Yes, I had some hope for him because he referred to the rabbit as his roommate, which I like. You know, you've done that from time to time.
I do refer to Rooster as my roommate.
Although he didn't say roommate, he said roomie.
Yeah.
So I should have really been smarter about that.
You,
honestly. She's like, well, your roomie ate my skirt. And he said, are you kidding me? I hope he doesn't get sick. Bad enough you tried to steal him, but feeding him your skirt, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
and then
I guess
he's like, this
funny.
is my name.
Yeah. But then we clip to his perspective.
Yes.
And he's like, I should have kissed her. I should have kissed her right there. And it's like, what? Why would you have kissed this strange woman that you just met on the street?
She's a stranger.
It does not matter how attractive she is. You should not have kissed her. You guys just talked about your bunny and then you walked away. But in his like internal monologue, he's saying there was nothing average about her mouth. It was soft and pink and full. That's fine.
Yeah.
But then he says he'd almost kissed her! ! And it's like news to us from Megan's perspective.
Right.
There was no tension whatsoever.
There was no inkling.
They were not close together in any way. There was no forced close togetherness. No one dropped something and had to bend down and became close to her. No, nothing like that. It says he threw his head back and laughed at that. Alone. This man is alone. He
no,
has
he's with his rabbit. Thought, his roomie rabbit.
Sure, you're right. He is with his rabbit. He throws his head back and laughs. Wouldn't she have been surprised? Wouldn't he? It wasn't in his nature to go around kissing strangers. Is it, Pat?
Yeah. Because it sounds like it was, though. It is?
I don't know. So then
it's
she's
a day later.
Walking around Williamsburg the next day, and she sees the rabbit just
out and about
the street. And she's like, this guy is
hopping.
Bad at taking care of his rabbit.
Yeah.
I will return the rabbit to him.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says where he lives or something.
They tell her that that's Dr. Hunter's rabbit, and he lives here.
Like,
and she's like,
Doctor?
Woo!
That changes everything. Yesterday he was kind of cute. She wouldn't classify him as handsome, but maybe huggable. And now she's like, yowzers, a doctor.
That's right.
She's like, oh, it's so gross.
So then she marches over. She tosses the rabbit into her cape, which is a weird move.
That is a weird move.
Like, you just hold it like a football, bro. Like, you just hold it. It's a rabbit.
Did you know rabbits hate getting picked up?
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yeah. That's not what they do.
They don't like being away from the ground. They're not climbers. They're not tree aminals. They like being on the ground.
They don't have shocks on their joints like cats do.
Yeah. So guys, don't scoop up a rabbit just for funsies. Pet it on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she tosses the rabbit into her cape and she clomps off in her giant buckled black leather shoes because she's in colonial garb.
Right.
She arrives at his door.
My God.
And she realizes that the rabbit has eaten a hole in her wool cape in a matter of 4 blocks.
This rabbit is very hungry for her clothes.
I mean, maybe, like I said, I think he might starve his rabbit. I didn't see him feed this rabbit once.
The thing is, like, I never see the rabbit again after. It's such a crucial part of the beginning of this book. And then,
okay, also, Erin, wouldn't you think that maybe it would be the rabbit that brings them together in the end instead of a different random barnyard animal?
I would think that the rabbit would have fuck all of anything to do with the rest of this book. I was ready for this cute rabbit to be my saving grace in this book, to be like the thing that saved it for me, that there was a rabbit around that could do cute rabbit shit. Right. It never happens again.
It never comes back. Okay. So he opens the door before she knocks.
And he says, I saw you stomp up my stairs. Is this a social call? What? Are you a human? Is this an alien romance? What the fuck is that? Is this a social call? What? And she's like, no, I have your rabbit. You're a bad rabbit owner. It got out again. What if it were killed?
Wait, and the way that he tells her, the way that he alerts her to the hole in her wool, her period garb, is, I see you've been feeding him again. Patrick, that's obviously not what happened.
Yeah. How about, I'm sorry.
No, she did not feed him the middle of her cape, Patrick. I don't understand.
He's outside they say two things. He says, hey, what's going on? She says, I have your rabbit. He says, there's a hole in your cape, or that. Then she says, so I'm trying to get the time down. Very short amount of time. She says, I smell something burning. He says, my applesauce, throws the rabbit.
Flung the rabbit at her.
And runs inside. Okay. Applesauce, is it not a low heat item?
Low heat, long time.
I just feel like if applesauce is going to burn, it's like over the course of hours, not within a 15-second time frame. So he goes, his applesauce is ruined. And I'm like, I just hate this man. There's so many things now. I am now, when the applesauce happened, I am all the way to hate. Because I'm like, anyone who's like, my applesauce is not somebody I want to fuck. That's the end. That was the end of him for me. Here at 6% into the book, I'm like, he's no longer an attractive man. He's really obsessed with his applesauce that he's making. Yeah.
And then, meanwhile, she is a 27-year-old person who has lived on her own for years.
Yes.
And he says, I suppose these things happened. And her response was, I wouldn't know. I haven't gotten around to learning how to cook. I can toast bread and boil water and defrost most anything, but I can't actually cook. Which is fine, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
But wait. Within 2 days, these two decide to host a traditional Thanksgiving dinner together when neither of them barely know how to boil water.
But also, that I thought, because both of them had made this statement that they don't know how to cook, that the traditional Thanksgiving dinner, there would be hijinks.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah.
Like them trying to learn how to cook, burning shit, trying things, adorable things
going
would happen.
Going to cooking classes, maybe.
But 2 days later, she's arms deep in a pie crust. And she's like, did you know pie crust making was hard? Anyway, here's a perfect version of this pie.
Here's a pie. What?
Pie crust is fucking hard to make. It just is.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. It's hard. And she starts off with that and just makes the most perfectest pumpkin pie there is.
Then they make cranberry sauce by themselves.
Yeah, which is also kind of hard.
It is. Oh, God. I mean, at the very least, it's a lot of work, especially if you can just get the canned stuff that's delicious.
Yeah. But also, if he can't cook applesauce, I feel like that's an advanced maneuver.
Right.
Applesauce is something that's really available at the store. You have to want to cook applesauce.
It's on every grocery store shelf.
Yeah.
Like a strudel is easier.
Right. Okay, so let's get to what happens here.
Okay, sure.
Because I have a lot to say.
So they're standing there in this kitchen, bickering over applesauce or something.
Who knows?
And all of a sudden, the door to his personal abode,
his personal home. I'm glad you're on the same page as me. At his personal where he lives house, opens, and a woman shuffles in.
And a teenager comes in with a baby. A distraught, crying teenager.
Again, she just walks in. She knocks, and upon somebody not answering the door, she just walks into his home. Which again is inside Colonial Williamsburg, which I don't really understand. There are people that live there, and that is a thing. I don't know how, because you have to pay to get into Colonial Williamsburg. I don't know if they have a thing they flash to get home because there's gates and shit. You have to pay to get into Colonial Williamsburg. So I assume that the people that live there have some kind of credentials or something that they use. I don't know. Maybe there are parts that you have to pay to get into and parts that you can't. I've only been there 4 times.
Sure.
But I know that it's $200 to get into Colonial Williamsburg because I remember being astounded each time that I was what? 200? Yeah. This isn't Disney World. So I'm did Tilly drop $200 to get to his house? Because if so, use that on your baby, Tilly.
Use that on your baby, Tilly.
Anyway.
So she just appears in the kitchen with a well-swaddled baby, it says.
Right.
And a brown paper shopping bag in the other. I knocked, but nobody heard me, she said. I couldn't wait any longer. I have to go. Tears clung to her lower lashes and straggled down her cheeks. I have to go and I can't take the baby and I didn't know what to do. And then I thought of you. I knew you'd take good care of him for me. You and Mrs. Hunter. She deposited the baby in Megan's arms and then she fucks off.
No.
Okay.
Before she fucks off, she says this very crucial line.
Yes.
I'm real sorry. I'm in such a rush. But if I don't go now, I'll miss my ride. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Yes.
Promise. It won't be any more than 2 weeks. Period.
Yes.
Remember that, HBs.
Yes.
It won't be any more than 2 weeks. Then she fucks off. Melody.
Erin.
What would you have done in this scenario?
Chased her down? ? Asked for an explanation?
Yeah. ? Asked for contact information? ? Ask her what drove her to this point, and maybe we can fix it in a way where she doesn't have to leave her baby with a stranger.
You want to know what the heroine says instead?
I would love you to read it.
So he starts howling, and she says, "This kid is loud. How do I get it to stop?"
No, that's not right. Okay, so then we find out that this baby is a patient of Pat's.
Yeah.
And that he had seen the baby a few days ago, so this, I guess, like, teenage mother
and
is
she's
just
been a really
leaving.
good mother the whole time. She's been bringing him for regular checkups. He's a healthy, happy kid.
And so it's surprising him that this is happening. So there's so many options here. This baby is a patient of yours, Pat. That means that you have the contact information for its mother.
Well, okay, so I have more questions about this because this was written in 1988. And listen, I was one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know a lot of things about 1988.
Mm-hmm.
However, later on, so he has the contact information. But what we find out from her later is that, like, she ran away from home and didn't want to talk to her mom and everybody because she was having this baby and she didn't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
So my thought was he would have her apartment and her home phone number, right? So if she fucks off, he can't necessarily. But then,
did he try?
No, he didn't even try.
He didn't try.
I mean, they stopped by the apartment, both of them individually, I guess. But like, that's not. She would come to you, like she would come get her. Anyway, then later on, it says that the dad, when we finally find out about the dad, he calls her on her cell phone, which, first of all, I don't think a broke teenager would be able to have the kind of cash that a 1988 cell phone would cost.
Oh my God.
But second of all, wouldn't her cell phone be on the doctor's records?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Like,
see, my whole thought was at least try.
Oh yeah.
Because, like, remember in Shades of Vampires when it was like she had a cell phone and we're like, how do you not call? Like, and then we later find out that the cell phone was like rigged or like a special vampire witch cell phone that like only worked for one thing or whatever. But we're like, she didn't even try. She didn't even try to like call her BFF or like call the FBI or whatever to be like kidnapped by vampires on Secret Witch Island.
Yes.
That's what he needed to do. He needed to call Tilly and be like, captured by vampires on Secret Witch Island with your baby. Come back, please.
Yeah, but instead they're both like, well, I guess we have a baby for at least 2 weeks, even though we only have about 2 days worth of supplies.
Are they?
What?
Or are they like, we have a baby forever, it's our baby?
I know. Because there was a little bit of that going on.
A little bit? A little bit?
Okay, so they set up this system because she doesn't work. Sorry. Please.
Bing, boom, bong. There is a discussion about should we call the authorities? And then it's no, because the child might end up in foster care.
Right.
Yay! Like,
I know. Like,
wouldn't it be great if we could find a relative of Tilly's to take this baby who maybe knows how to find Tilly? Or maybe we could put the baby with somebody who might have, like, I don't know, legal authority to have it?
Right.
Or maybe, how about if we call the authorities, we can get, like, a doctor to check out the baby and, like, police reports can be run and see what's going on with Tilly. And when they said we're not going to call the authorities because of maybe foster care, I lost my fucking mind.
Yeah, it was a lot.
All right. Okay, you can continue.
So they work out this system since she only works on the weekends. He's like, well, oh, wait, no, they don't even work out a system.
No.
He gaslights her into watching him during the day.
Yeah, basically. And he doesn't even check to see if she has a job during the day besides her weekend job.
No.
Because he's like, you're a colonial townsperson, so you only work on the weekends. Here, have a baby.
Yeah.
And calls her Mrs. Hunter, and then I think he smooches her.
I think so.
Yeah, he leaves because he's got to go to the hospital and leaves the baby with her during the day, I think, at his house.
Oh.
Because he says, look, we've got all the essentials here. I'm going to the office to get Timmy's file and see if I can track down Tilly, he says. Oh, okay, so maybe he does track down Tilly.
No, but he doesn't because he could have just followed her out his front door. Erin.
All right, so he leaves. She's staying with the baby. She's very like, I don't know about babies. I don't like babies. Whatever. He leaves. He comes back.
Wait. I'm sorry. I just have to do a little bit of dialogue. I'm sorry. So he's like, I'm going to go to the office to get the paperwork. And she's like, you won't be gone long, will you? Because let's review. She's never met a baby before in her life.
Yes.
Never met one.
Never.
And so he looks at her and he goes, what a wench. We hardly know each other and you already can't get enough of me. Love at first sight, huh? And then he tweaks her freckled nose and smiled as he closed his front door. She had a terrible temper, he thought, couldn't cook, and didn't know squat about babies, but damned if she didn't look good in his kitchen.
Yep.
Guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so then he comes back, and, she's like asleep in front of the fireplace with Timmy in her arms.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, she looks real hot and sexy in the mothering role in my house. And it's weird because he's known this woman for a total of 3 hours.
May I read from that moment?
Please.
He liked the way she looked in his kitchen. For you guys, I just want you to know nothing has happened. There's been no dialogue, nothing that we haven't shared with you. This was as out of nowhere for us as it is for you right now.
Yes.
He liked the way she looked in his kitchen, but he was overwhelmed by the sight of her in his rocking chair. She was the most provocative creature he'd ever encountered. We've had a conversation about the bunny, and then the girl came to get the baby, and he left. That's it. That is
and
it.
She looked at him and she said, how do you get this thing to shut up?
Yeah, that's it.
That's all that's happened.
Patrick, he warned himself, she's not the sort to mess with. This was a woman with strong convictions, intense emotions, and morals. He literally knows nothing about her. Nothing.
Yeah.
Damn it. She had hands off written all over her. He walked over to her and pushed a long, silky strand of hair behind her ear. He wanted to continue touching her until his hands had memorized every square inch of satiny skin.
No.
She looked at him drowsily. I think my arm is dead. Your arm, he said, from holding the baby.
You guys.
Such scintillating dialogue. They know nothing about each other.
So he says, I can't keep this child. I have to turn him over to the authorities. Mm-hmm. And Megan says, why? Why? Oh boy, Pat thought. He'd seen that look before. It happened shortly after childbirth. Mm-hmm. As a pediatrician, he had a healthy respect for the protective instincts accompanying motherhood. And after 2 hours of exposure to Timmy Coogan, Megan had obviously caught adoptive hormonal maternalitis.
That's a thing.
Go
actually
fuck yourself.
Actually, you know what, though, Melody?
To death. What?
Judging from this book, it is a thing. I mean, Patrick's making some assumptions about Megan, but they turn out to be true.
They do. Okay, so she's like, you could get a babysitter. And he's like, okay, I'll let you babysit, but only if you agree to have supper with us every night. I think it's important for a family to be together at the dinner table. Megan smiled triumphantly and wrapped her cape around herself. Deal! She whisked out the front door and headed for the car, and then she stopped short and gasped. Patrick Hunter had manipulated her.
Yes.
That no-good, irresistible skunk had wheedled her into taking care of the baby.
Irresistible? All of a sudden? Like, what happened in her mind? When did that happen?
Idea.
And then, it's the next morning, she goes home. It's the next morning that he, comes to her house and drops the baby off.
At, 5:30 in the morning. She had no idea he was coming this early.
And so she answers the door and is like, and she's like, well, I have to work and stuff. And he had no idea that she had a day job except for her weekends at Colonial Williamsburg. Then he's like, I need to kiss her.
Yeah.
It's something that I must do. I'm compelled to do it. She has expressed no interest in me, so I don't know how this is going to go. And then he thinks, oh, hell, sliding his hands along her neck, it would be worth a broken nose to get a good morning kiss.
You guys.
What?
No.
And then they do. They make out.
And then he kisses her.
And it's a good kiss, I guess.
Maybe?
She gets offended that she says, you have some nerve having an innocent little nose. She's always obsessed with his really cute nose, which is like a big turnoff for me. And then kissing like Conan the Barbarian. She swallowed and put her hand to her chest to keep her heart from breaking through the skin. And in front of the baby. What will he think? What?
Lady. First of all, that baby cannot write long-term memories yet. So shut the fuck up.
Then she thinks, what a great kiss, but it doesn't matter because I'm done with men forever.
Yeah, she's a done with men.
She's a done with men. She's no longer with men. She's done with them.
And then she says, God. So he bolts through the doorway and then paused. Oh, I guess he says this. Yeah, he says this. About that kiss. I don't want you to think I'm easy. I don't think you're easy. I think you're nuts. I think you're a sex maniac. He grinned and waved.
What?
Good. I was worried. What?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
So he goes to work. He comes
leaves
home.
This bitch with this baby for 12 hours.
Yeah. So he gets home. She's trying to like feed it. It's funny. The babies are bad at eating. Ha ha. They spill everything and like spit on your hair and stuff. You guys, that's a lot of this book.
They're covered in green beans all the time.
Surprise. I was not about it. I did not find it cute. All I could think was, besides keep your babies out of my romance novels, all I could think was call the cops. Can somebody call the cops? Where is Tilly?
You guys should not be responsible for this child.
Is she suicidal? Is she in trouble? Is she homeless?
Is she in danger?
What's going on with Tilly?
Is she in a ditch somewhere, Erin? Is she in a ditch somewhere?
Yeah, exactly. He keeps referring to her as Mrs. Hunter, which is his last name.
Ew, I don't like
because
it.
Tilly made that mistake when she dropped the baby off. And she's very like, I'm not Mrs. Hunter. But then she's like, I could be, though. She knows nothing about him.
I don't even know if they have any like sexual tension. I guess she liked it when he kissed her a little bit.
Yeah.
But then she kept on being like, but it can never happen again.
Yeah.
So this happens like over and over again every day.
Because this is super weird. So this is that night. They're feeding the baby.
Yeah.
He says, we're a family. You're Mrs. Hunter. What would people say if we did? Oh, because he wants her to stay for Thanksgiving with his family.
Yes.
We're a family. You're Mrs. Hunter. What would people say if we didn't spend Thanksgiving together? I'm not Mrs. Hunter. We're not a family. I don't give a flying monkey what people say. What a weird thing to say.
Sure.
Please, he said. It was the first time she'd seen him totally serious. Again, in 2 days. And it left her speechless. His eyes were unsettling when they were teasing, but they were devastating when they were serious. And he had spoken in a husky whisper that could have persuaded her to do almost anything. Pat was even more surprised than Megan. The unnerving truth was that he couldn't imagine a Thanksgiving without her. He knew it was crazy, but he had actually thought of her as Mrs. Hunter. He suspected it was because all day he'd been fantasizing about performing wifely functions, most of them in her satiny nightgown. Yeah, there's just no chemistry here. There's nothing to indicate that except that she's telling us that, if that makes sense.
But also, like, I'm sorry. I have, like, jobs or whatever, but I am home-based. And right now, we have a pretty gender stratified relationship with my breastfeeding and the baby always needing or wanting me and, like, all that nonsense. And if I ever heard Michael fantasizing at the shop about me doing wifely duties, I think I would have to be out. Like, that's literally all I do all day a lot of times. But God damn it. No.
Was he talking about, like, wifely duties, like, sex?
No.
I thought he meant
He was
sex.
talking about, like, taking out the trash.
Oh.
And, like, wearing an apron over her satin nightgown, I think.
See,
or
both
like
are gross. Like, fantasizing about your wife doing chores is gross. Fantasizing about sex but calling it wifely duties also gross. Like, there's no way that makes that okay, but that's what I thought it was. And I'm like, ew.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So then, like, this just happens a few more times. Like, he drops her off, he comes home, but, like, they don't really learn anything.
But every time, he keeps on trying to attack her out of nowhere. He tries to attack her face. At one point, I think he's like chasing her around the kitchen and she's like, get away from me.
There is a time where she like goes up to her room to like get something, or I don't remember what it was. And he was like, oh, it's a ruse to get me upstairs to her bedroom. And then, no, it was like she was tired, I think. She was going to go.
No, she said she was going to go get something. And then she randomly, because she's a random person, prostrates herself on her bed and lays down and and goes to sleep.
And he gets in there and like snuggles in and is like, hey, Mrs. Hunter. And she's like,
enters
what?
her bed when she's sleeping. Granted, she should not have been sleeping again because there is an infant downstairs that she agreed to take care of, right? So, like, yes, wake the bitch up. Do not enter her bed without her permission, you weirdo.
And when he's like, Mrs. Hunter, which she said, I don't like that. Yeah. And then turns around and he goes, sexy lady. Sexy lady. No.
No, sir. Get out of that house.
No, sir.
And she keeps on doing things like, she was like, oh, he got really randy when I was in my satin nightgown. So this time I'm going to put on crazy sweatpants so that I look totally gross when he arrives. And that doesn't work. And then other things don't work. The first third of this book is her desperately trying to keep his body off of hers and him being like, God, she's so hot. Oh my gosh, she's so quirky hot. We're both so quirky hot. Look at my button nose.
Can I read a quirky hot?
Yeah, please.
So one night he comes home and she's, again, like I had mentioned earlier, made the perfect pumpkin pie.
Oh, yeah.
He says it's really hot in here. She says, I have the oven on and the fire is going, and her heart is racing, she thought. If he didn't kiss her, she was going to tear his shirt off. And that's the other thing. She's like very into him, but she's also very like,
yes,
how dare you? It's very weird.
Yes.
If he didn't kiss her, she was going to tear his shirt off and pin him to the kitchen floor. No, she shouted silently. What?
I know.
So she just goes, no. Just mouths it? No, she shouted silently. That was wrong. That was not what she was going to do.
Remember the bag?
Yep, that's what she said. Yep, that's not what she was. I was like, that's not right. Remember the bag? But I guess it is. I don't know what that was. Remember the bag? Remember Dave? Which, by the way, it turns out is one of her 3 to 2 ex-fiancés.
2, but then 3.
2, but then 3. And then it says, remember Dave? She hit herself on the head with the wooden spoon.
You
Pat's
guys.
Eyes widened. Why'd you do that? I deserved it, she said. Have you ever thought about hitting yourself in the head with something for having a thought that was bad in front of another person? That's so weird.
Also, think about somebody just mouthing the word no and then whacking himself on the head in front of you after just casually mentioning that the oven is on and the fire is going. Lady, what's happening?
So then she makes him the pie crust. He gives her a kiss and says he's proud of her. Then he says, do you want to get married?
Yeah.
And he kind of means it. And she's like, no. And he's like, want to go to bed with me? And she's like, no. But she also, like, in her internal monologue, does want to get married to him and does want to go to bed. And at this point, these are the facts we know. Megan, hot, sexy lady. Super sexy, red hair,
cool.
perfect body. That's what I know about Megan. Works at Colonial Williamsburg.
Sculpted by the patriarchy, if you will.
Makes teapots during the week. That's her job, that she's so like, I have a job. I can't watch a baby because she's making teapots. That's it. I don't know where she grew up. I don't know about her 2 ex-fiancés. I don't know anything about her personality. I literally know nothing about her preferences or likes or anything. Pat?
All I know is that she can go from not being able to boil water to making a perfect pie and then whacking herself with a spoon.
Yes.
What?
Pat, I know, is a pediatrician and has a bunny. Period. That is also...
Hates buying new shoes.
Yeah, yes. But, I mean, as far as these two hitting it off or having anything in common or any chemistry or understanding anything about them, we know nothing. And we are at marriage for both of them. They both want to marry each other.
Yeah, but the dialogue is, want to get married? No. Want to go to bed? You want to get conked with my wooden spoon? You didn't answer my question. That's encouraging. He brushed his lips lightly against hers. Like, that's the way they speak to each other. Yeah. I don't know how you learn about a person like that.
And she says she wants him to be her very platonic friend.
Mm-hmm.
She's not clear in her brain, but she's very clear out loud to him that she does not want to have a romantic relationship.
Yeah, she says, I like you, you're fun, you're nice to me, you're great with Timmy. And then she says, the simple truth is that you don't fit into my future, at least not in a romantic way. I'd like to think of you as a friend, a very platonic friend.
Right.
The corners of his mouth tightened almost imperceptibly, and his brown eyes darkened. I'd like to think of you as a friend. I'd also like to think of you as a lover. You're not cooperating. Nope. How dare you just disregard my feelings? I've been totally honest with you, and I'm being honest with you. I want you, Megan Murphy, and I'm going to do everything I can to get you.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow, she says.
And honestly, that his whole like I'm persistent and like that
I do
whole,
not
like
that
she's
trope.
like
I don't like it.
I know, but that trope may have been fine with me if I knew or liked anything else about these people. You know what I mean?
If it was on a really sexy man,
or if it were anywhere else, I think I maybe could have bought it. But it just on top of everything else, I was just like, why? What are these people?
And then she says, maybe we should dump the honest approach. Maybe I should go home. He took her jacket lapels in his hands and gently pressed her against the front door. Not going to stay for pie? This isn't fair, she said thickly. You have a bogus nose.
Yes, that is how they talk to each other. Yes. Then she tells him he has a nice ass, right?
Yeah, she says, it's the sort of perfect little nose you find on the boy next door. It's innocent. I shouldn't have paid any attention to it. I should have sized you up by your backside. You have a killer behind.
She's obsessed with his nose throughout. It's very weird.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we get like a long nonsense description of Colonial Williamsburg, which I actually kind of liked. The herbs parts of this book were better than the regular dialogue parts of this book, so I read them hard. We learn about her boring childhood. That's the other thing. When we do get backgrounds on these people, they're just boring. It's just like, I have a family. I grew up in a place. Like, it's completely arbitrary.
Sort of. The thing that's necessary to know about her family is that they are very serious about her settling down. They believe that, like, college for women is to get an MRS degree.
Mm-hmm.
And they have somehow, even though she seems to be a fairly headstrong person throughout this novel, they've somehow talked her into getting engaged 2 times to men she almost loathed.
Yeah, and did not like at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the background about her family and his family told me a lot about their families, but didn't tell me anything about them as
not at
people.
All.
You know what I mean? It was like, I'm from New Jersey. It's like, okay, well, what does that say about you? Nothing?
Yeah.
Like, my parents are like this. Okay, and that made you what? It's just like, it does not inform me anything about their characters. But
she tries to check up on Tilly's house, right?
Yeah, I don't even remember. What I do remember is this.
Either.
She's like walking through Colonial Williamsburg and she's looking at the women that get to wear like the nice fancy costumes for Colonial Williamsburg. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to look like one of those ladies in their fancy costumes because I don't look good and am not pretty. And the buttons on my dress are forever bursting off because I've had one too many sugar cookie.
Yep.
Let's talk. I'm not the smallest girl in the world. I like a sugar cookie. Megan is, we've been told, the smallest girl in the world.
She is. Described that way multiple times.
And I've sat down and eaten a lot of food in my time. In one sitting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had a button burst off of something you're wearing because you just like one extra sugar cookie and then just the buttons on what you're wearing just go pop, 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 pop.
Not a single time.
No, but this is, quote, forever happening to poor Megan. She just has one too many sugar cookies and the buttons fly off her dress. Sorry, that, like, all the sentences in this book are like that, but that one was just particularly hilarious to me. That she'd have, like, a dainty bite of a cookie, and then all the buttons would just be like, pop, 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 pop.
Yeah. Well, especially since the way that she connects that in her synapses is to then come to the conclusion that she's destined to be a peasant.
Yes.
As a result.
That's true, too. They're never going to let her wear the fancy dresses because of her button popping problem. Of course. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of like herbs during this section, but also we clip at one point to Pat, and he says that as soon as Thanksgiving is over, because they're really busy getting ready for Thanksgiving with his family, as soon as Thanksgiving is over, he's going to hire a detective and a lawyer to adopt Timmy.
Yeah.
We've had this kid 4 days. So we're going to hire a private detective to make sure Tilly's situation is shitty and she doesn't deserve to have her kid back. And then we're going to adopt him?
Together? Question mark?
Yes.
Or just him?
No, because he starts thinking at this point, he definitely wants to marry Megan. He's all the way in on marrying Megan.
Because they won't let him adopt Timmy if he's unmarried.
He believes this based on no research whatsoever into the laws. He just assumes this based on his own assumption of who should be able to adopt children.
Yeah.
But also 1988, that may have been true. I don't know.
Maybe.
But just know right now it's not. So if you want to adopt a kid and it's just you, you can.
Right.
Okay. I think. I don't know. In most states, I would think so.
Yeah, it depends on the state, I think.
Okay. So then they go on a dinner date to the King's Arms.
Oh my God.
Have I ever told you my Colonial Williamsburg bar story?
No, but you have to now.
I got plastered at a Colonial Williamsburg bar one time. Just fucking shithouse all the way. And I don't get like that drunk that often. So like, it was a weird moment for me. Mm-hmm. My friends and I, it must have been during some like army training situation. Mm-hmm. I think we were in the Charlottesville area, maybe the Fort Lee area. I'm not sure which one's closer. But we were headed from point A to point B, and we assumed we'd find something to eat along the way. Oh. And it was too late. It was like too late for anything to be open. And we're like on Yelp trying to figure out what happened and why we ended up in this. I don't know if it was like a Sunday night or something. Like it was just, there was nothing open. Yeah. The only place open that served food was a Colonial Williamsburg bar. And I don't remember what the name of it was. It was not the King's Arms. It was not the fancy restaurant. It was a tavern bar. Nice. That you didn't have to enter Colonial Williamsburg to be a patron of. Ooh, brilliant. So we're like, okay. And we went there, and it was like a functioning bar, but it also had all the period people there serving. Whoa. Like it was like a farce, but it was also a bar. And this guy would come around to the table and do napkin magic tricks, and they were dirty. Old-timey napkin magic tricks? But they were dirty. Because it was like a bar. So it would be like, there would be like a dick joke in it. It would be like, I don't know how to say it. Like he would like tie the napkin and make like a little show of like, this is the lady and this is the man and there's the dick. Like it was crazy. And he was like a creepy old man who like definitely really enjoyed doing these dirty napkin jokes from the time period. There was like a little band playing their little string instruments. Mm-hmm. And we ate like disgusting shepherd pie, cheese bowl foods, and just got shithoused. Like, I don't remember who the driver was. I'm sure they didn't, but I got crazy drunk on like mead or whatever, and I thought those jokes were the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I kept calling the guy over to like do more. And you can tell this guy's like, I know 10. Like, right. I'm at work right now. Most of them. They teach me a limited number of these that were real from the time period, and now I'm out. And I would be like, do the other one again. Teach me how. Like, I have a napkin. Teach me it. Teach me how to do the dick part. I was a mess. I like to imagine that during the scene where they went to the King's Arms, that he was there.
Yes. Amazing.
This is a weird dinner
date. They eat like oyster pie and stuff.
Yeah. The food at Colonial Williamsburg places is historically accurate. It is not sexy food. It is food that sits like a brick in your stomach because it's like a bowl of cheese and a crust of bread, which sounds good until you're facing it down, and then you're like, oh, it's just a bowl of cheese.
Or until you're trying to like rhythmically thrust onto someone. That's not going to sit well then. I'll tell you that much.
But she like does a flirt. She like does a little flirt. And like she like licks some kind of like a something off her finger and is like,
oh God,
"Ugh."
I forgot about that.
And she's like talking about like, why don't you find out more about me? And then he flirts back and she's like, how dare you? It's so weird. But that's basically that. She gets mad at him for flirting with her, even though she's flirting with him.
Yeah.
Very strange.
But that's so much of this book.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's like one person does something that the other person likes, and the other person just comes at their jugular
for reason.
Something that they liked.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
Then they do a movie night in his bedroom because he gets a TV for his birthday. They hook it up in the bedroom, and then they watch Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
And then she cries so much that she's inconsolable, and he has to, like,
oh my God,
comfort her.
Yep.
And then after that, sorry, I'm just running through the plot, but I feel like the plot itself is funny enough that I'm keeping it going.
No, I know. Like,
then after that is when she tells him that she has womanly needs.
Yeah.
And a biological clock. And he better fuck her right now. Not
right
after the
now.
movie. I mean, like a totally different day. And he's just like, oh, okay, it's on. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to start this cabbage, which is going to take 3 hours, which really set the scene for me.
Oh, man. I was stoked about this cabbage.
Stinky cabbage. Stinking up that little cottage. I'm so happy.
Ooh, that red cabbage really gets my sexy juices going.
Yeah. And then he thinks about how he's like way too tired to ravish her right now.
Yep.
But then I guess he does.
I guess, but it fades to black. God damn it.
Whatever.
Because nobody can have nice things, although I don't want to see
these
people's genitals. No, I don't want to see their genitals.
So then, is that when her parents come?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Meanwhile, they're taking care of baby left and right.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Baby's
like,
there. In fact, the reason they watched Winnie the Pooh was to screen it to make sure it was appropriate for a baby.
How is Winnie the Pooh not appropriate for a child? But also,
nothing is appropriate or inappropriate for a baby. I mean, show that
he
baby
should not be having
Texas
any screen
Chainsaw
time.
Massacre. That baby doesn't care.
He's only 10 months old. It's going to fuck with his ocular nerve. Like, not too much screen time. It messes with their verbal processes. It shouldn't happen. But, cool.
That's fine. But again, I don't think that baby cares whether it's Schindler's List or Winnie the Pooh. I don't think. It
can't write long-term memories.
It knows.
Also, and then at some point they try to bone down, but Timmy starts teething. And I think that was this after magical. I think it's after Winnie the Pooh.
The movie, yeah.
Because they were supposed to do it.
Yeah.
But then they didn't. So the crazy thing about this whole teething episode is that this kid teethes for about 3 hours overnight, and then we never talk about it again.
No!
That's not how that works. God damn it.
Okay, so now he's hanging out at her house. He had nothing to wear after the ravishing, I want to say, and he's wearing her pink robe. Man in a pink robe. God,
oh my gosh, it's so funny. You can see his leg hair and stuff, guys. Pink and robe, and
she talks about his chest hair a lot. And then
because he runs over in the rain or something like that. Yeah, and so she puts his.
At that time, I don't know.
I think so. Doesn't matter.
Picture it, guys. He's in the pink robe. He's in the kitchen. He's holding the baby. Her parents walk in to surprise her for Thanksgiving.
Boundaries, people. Don't you fucking dare.
Yes. But what happens next?
You guys.
Is that Megan's father punches Pat
the fuck out.
In the face for being in his daughter's house in a robe with a baby that they've already clarified for him is not theirs.
And like naked or whatever.
Yeah.
Like in her robe or whatever. She's 27 years old.
27, thrice or twice engaged, depending on the moment you're talking to her.
Correct.
Punches him in the face.
And like he's bleeding everywhere, all over her pink robe.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
Then
they separate the men's.
Yes. Then we go to Patrick's perspective, and he says to her, did your dad punch all of your other ex-boyfriends? So I guess he's her boyfriend now. And she said, no, but none of them ever slept over at my house. So, thrice engaged, no sleepovers, but not a virgin, because I guess not, because she never mentioned it if she was. But then, when she says that, he's like, ex-boyfriends. I don't really like the idea that she's talking about ex-boyfriends right now. And it's like, Pat, you asked. You asked.
And then he goes the next step to say, I actually really like her dad for punching me in the face.
Yeah, because I'd like to punch them in the face.
And I'm like, everybody needs to stop.
Just stop. Just stop reading this book. Just scrap this book and start over.
Nobody owns her.
Scrap it.
Nobody owns her. God damn it.
Then she talks to her mom. The mom finds out that he's a pediatrician.
And she's immediately planning the wedding.
Then all of a sudden, we're going to have a Christmas wedding. She can't wait.
Okay, so, oh my God. So then his parents show up.
Yes.
And the next day, they all get together. And by then, magically, Patrick and the dad are totally cool. They're to the point where they can make jokes about how hard Pat's nose is.
Yeah.
And how much his hand hurts and her man stuff.
Yeah.
And the moms are like, so it's going to be a Christmas Eve wedding and we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And it's going to be this and that. She's over there making like 3-layer cakes.
Yeah.
Or something really complicated all of a sudden.
Can I bing bong bong?
Yeah.
This just occurred to me because there's so much crazy that you really have to like sift through it. Her dad's a cop. Is that right?
I have zero recollection of that, but I'm going to go with you on it.
I believe him to be a cop.
Okay.
I'm like 90% sure of this.
Yeah.
They go in. She's like, this is Pat. This is not our baby.
Right.
No one in his family or her family really ever follows up on the this isn't our baby aspect
other
of
than
the
to say, I'm so excited for you to adopt him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Everybody is so excited about them keeping this baby together. This baby that is not theirs.
Tilly said 2 weeks,
Where
y'all.
is Tilly?
She said
could be in a ditch. Is she being chased by the mob?
They're like, even the cop? Oh, my God.
What?
Oh, my God.
What?
Not one, but 2 mandatory reporters in this room that we know of. We have a pediatrician and a law enforcement officer. Oh my God, we're breaking laws. We're not only... Oh, Jesus.
Bing, boom, bong. Mandatory reporting with Erin.
You guys. Just being like, yay, baby. Can't wait to adopt it.
Can't wait to steal this baby from a teenager who might be in a ditch, you guys.
Let's hire a private detective to make sure she's an unfit mother so that I can keep it.
Hashtag justice for Tilly.
Oh my God.
Lot.
Hashtag justice for Timmy. Can we talk about how her name is Tilly, his name is Timmy, and the rabbit's name is Tibbles? Jesus. I mean, not as if I'm ever going to see Tibbles again. We're far past that.
We're not going to see Tibbles ever again.
But, like, Jesus.
Actually, there's only a reference to Tibbles, and I'll tell you about it later because it's disgusting.
Okay,
don't let me forget. Okay, so wait. Yeah, can I tell you that the other reason I had to stop with this book quite a bit was that it actually broke my heart in places? Because this poor, not even 1-year-old, he's like to the point where he's a little bit verbal. And so he'll get really upset.
Yeah.
And he'll start going, mom, 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 mom.
Try the audio
crying.
Did you listen to it in audio at all?
No, I couldn't.
Guys,
I think I would
die. $15 on this book on Kindle and then another fucking 15 on Audible just because I had to finish it.
Oh my God, thank you, patrons. Thank you so much to our patrons.
Thank you to our patrons, but also you're welcome, Janet Evanovich, because I did not enjoy one moment of this book. And I gave you 30 of my dollars. And I also understand she did not receive 30 of my dollars. I'm just saying my sacrifice was $30 for this thing.
But I actually started tearing up when poor Timmy was just sitting there, mom, wanting his mom.
No. And you guys,
no.
The Thanksgiving hijinks are what you'd think. The bird
don't exist.
So big.
The bird is 27 pounds. Wait a second. No, bing, boom, bong.
Yes.
Thanksgiving turkeys and butchering animals with melody.
Okay.
27 pounds is big, but like, my baby is almost 27 pounds. You can move a 27-pound turkey.
I
A
can't believe you're
27-pound turkey
talking about eating
really
and carving up your baby.
fits. Stop it.
That's pretty dark, Melody. Wow.
A 27-pound turkey easily fits into a standard oven.
How many ovens have you put your child into?
It's like
Ember and Valor are more like Hansel and Gretel, am I right? We're just fattening them up.
Oh my gosh. But like the way that they try to maneuver this turkey, Tanya has that technique where she does like the bird half of the time on its breast so that it soaks up all the juices.
Yeah, I do.
And then you've got to flip the bird.
Yeah.
Tanya and I have flipped the bird with like a 25-pound turkey. You don't toss the turkey onto the floor, Patrick, especially since
forks in it and expects that to do it.
I know, right? I don't even know
just put two oven mitts on, 2 clean oven mitts, and just palm it. And then just wash them.
There are many techniques that would have worked.
Just 2 clean oven mitts and then wash them.
You want to know what happens, Erin?
Yeah. It
slides across the floor and leaves like a turkey slug slime, whatever. Yeah. But then somebody mentions that Tibbles the rabbit has been cavorting all around the kitchen all day.
Okay. Cool.
Shitting everywhere and shedding everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's now all over this bird, and none of them wipe it down.
Nope.
Nothing. They just take it straight to the table.
And we have to endure like another like pack of kids during this time being like, ew, it's like a slug and I'm not going to eat it. And it's like, if I wanted to listen to kids whine about shit and not eating turkey, I wouldn't read a romance novel.
Okay,
anyway.
So then at the table, it's awkward because they're like, so when's the wedding? And Patrick is like, well, really
planning it.
The bride. Yeah, right. Aren't the mothers, haven't they already decided this?
It's not a joke.
Patrick kicks the can down the table and he's like, the bride gets to decide that. And so she decides to start playing along for no reason because she has been militantly against this the whole book.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, it's going to be Christmas Eve. It's going to be great. And so then Thanksgiving is like over, I guess.
Yeah.
And they all go their separate ways.
Except that before the end, the mom mentions to her that she invited her ex-fiance Dave. All right, let's just get this out because I don't know when this actually comes out.
Sure.
She at one point tells, I think Patrick. It's this next like walk that they take actually the next day. She tells Patrick that she has been engaged 3 times and she has 3 times been rejected for marriage by men. The first was in kindergarten.
Wait. Up until this point, she has been saying 2 times. Yes. So when this 3 times came out, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Right. Turns out it was this thing that happened in kindergarten, which is not a thing that happened.
It is not a thing, but the kid proposed to her and then like rejected her or whatever. So the second one, I forget even what happened with the second one.
Nothing happened.
Oh,
he decided to move.
No, it's important though, because they were engaged and she never even said yes. Her parents were just like, yes, you're engaged. We're going to plan this wedding. It's great. Because they wanted her to be married by the time she left college. And she didn't want to marry him, but she was just going to get along with it. And then he decided not to marry her and took her ring off while she was asleep in the school library and just fucked off and left.
And then like didn't graduate because he skipped town.
Right. Because he so didn't want to marry her, which I understand. And then the third one, Dave, her family again really convinced her to be engaged to, and he loved her family so much and was like so cool with her dad and stuff. And they got all the way to the altar, and she says to Pat, I was standing there at the altar wondering, what the hell am I doing here? Right. I don't love this man. I cannot be married to this man for the rest of my life just because my parents want me to be. And I believed then she was going to say no. But it turns out that Dave then walked away from the altar and devastated.
He just walked down the aisle.
So she's created a narrative where twice she's been engaged to men where she did not, under any circumstances, want to marry them. But yet, because they're the ones that rejected her, she didn't communicate her needs and wishes.
Right.
She was willing to marry Dave, even though she was standing at the altar feeling like she did not want to be there. She is blaming
and she doesn't say to herself, thank God.
Her.
Yeah. Instead of being like,
but she doesn't think thank God.
Thank
goodness.
Doesn't
think thank God.
That's what I mean. She should be thinking,
I can't believe
thank
he
God.
did this to me.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And
he takes the ring back. So Mom has invited Dave to come out for Thanksgiving without talking to her daughter.
Yeah. Mom's rationale for this is, we didn't know you were dating someone, let alone a doctor. How dare you?
As if
I don't understand this family. I don't understand this dynamic.
It was like, we've bumped into Dave and he might be willing to take you back. We didn't know that you had another option.
Right.
My God.
So they say that Dave is going to be coming by tomorrow, like Black Friday, basically.
Right. Well, they go on this walk. She tells him all these things about her past and stuff. And she's talking about how she actually may really want to get married to him. And he's like, oh my God, I can't get married to somebody right now. I'm a doctor. I'm poor. I'm trying to start at this practice. I have 3 years where I might be moving and stuff. And it's like, you were the one 4 hours in
pushing
that was
for
begging
this
her to marry you while the
whole
cabbage
time
was brewing or whatever last week.
And like every day.
He just does a complete 180 with no explanation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than like maybe it actually getting real. Like that's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know.
For this complete 180.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wait, but this is also the conversation where she talks about how she wants a horse. So just.
Oh, that's right.
And on
then
the property
she says,
lives a horse.
Yeah.
Period. That's all.
And then she says, yeah, the property that I'm renting, it has a horse. The horse is really fat.
Yeah, it's fat and it's unhappy.
Yeah, its coat isn't sleek or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, also it's fall. It's getting its winter coat.
She kind of fat shames this horse throughout.
She does.
She's just like, this horse is
lot.
fat. It looks unhappy. And she says, when I have a horse, it's going to be sleek and svelte and pretty, not like this old shitty fat horse that lives on my property. It's like, hey, lay off the horse, you know?
Right? Leave the horse alone.
Sounds like that horse is living its best life.
Just don't comment on horses' bodies or anybody's bodies. Just stop it. So then everybody's standing around and the door bursts open. Yes. No, that's not true. They knock, knock, knock. She opens the door. Tilly Coogan is standing there.
Yeah,
Tilly.
The man.
Aww. Tilly is back.
2 weeks. Again.
2 weeks.
Like
clockwork.
She said she would.
And Megan is holding Timmy like with a death grip to her body, being like, this was my baby.
She says or thinks things like, I bought books about raising a child. I plan to adopt this child. I purchased a playpen. I mean, she keeps saying, I didn't expect her to come back. I didn't expect her to come back. I thought this was my child. And it's like, under what? Why?
I know.
She said, I'll be back as soon as I can, 2 weeks max. And somehow in that 2 weeks, she believes she's going to adopt this child.
I don't know.
And she is somehow devastated by this. And so is Pat.
Right.
And, like, wouldn't you be so happy that she comes back? She's happy, healthy. There's now a father who wants the baby. There's a whole family.
She's not in a ditch.
Yeah.
Especially since Timmy then, jubilant with his little rosy cheeks, starts going, Mom, 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 and like reaching for her. Because that's his mom, you asshole. So we find out the backstory of Tilly. It doesn't matter. It also doesn't make a lick of sense.
No, it doesn't. Just so you guys know, she was totally stable the whole time, and she's just a crazy person as well.
Yeah, so. She just doesn't make any sense either. So then we never see them again. They're going to go live and be a happy family, and Timmy is going to have his mom forever. Thank goodness, not in a ditch.
Thank goodness Timmy is not involved with these two anymore.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine these two people trying to teach a toddler basic conversation. Like, okay, then she goes full cray. She tailspins in a way that is impressive.
This is when it really goes off the rails, you guys.
Yeah, she's like a golem with this baby. Up until this point, she's been like, I don't want to marry you. I'm a single lady and I'm done with men and I'm only into fucking and I'm not into, weddings and marriage.
I have to read it. I have to find
Okay,
this.
please.
So previously they had talked about having a sex fest that day because all the families were gone. So they had had this joke kind of about having it. Well, not really. He just wanted to have sex and she didn't. So there you go.
Yeah.
The humor.
Yeah.
He goes, want another plate of leftovers? She says, what she wanted was another baby. Megan realized. She liked being a mother. She was getting good at it. She didn't want to go back to being a single person rattling around in her big old farmhouse by herself. She looked at Pat and thought a short sex fest might not be such a bad idea. She couldn't have Tilly's baby, but she was pretty sure she could have Pat's. It'd be a terrific baby, too. Cute little nose. God, she's so fucking obsessed with the nose. Big brown eyes, perfect teeth. They should get married, of course. But there was no reason they couldn't get started making a baby right away. Why waste valuable time? If she got pregnant now, she could have a baby by the end of the summer. The trick was getting Pat to make a baby. He'd been very careful about that sort of thing. She might have to take manners into her own hands.
She thought slyly. I have a note that says, if she pokes a hole in a motherfucking condom, I'm out. I am not reading this book anymore. But thank goodness she didn't. I'm sorry.
This is our job,
I would have been like, I don't know what happens at the end of this book because I won't.
He asks if she might want to go out to dinner.
Yeah, because he's like, you've got a weird look in your eye.
Yeah, do you want to go to dinner? And she's like, oh, good. Perfect. This is perfect. We'll go to dinner. He'll propose to me. I don't even know where she gets this from.
Yeah.
He'll propose to me.
Yeah, wait. This is hilarious. She goes, a romantic restaurant, the perfect place for a proposal. Once she got the proposal out of the way, it would be clear sailing to motherhood. She rubbed her hands together in anticipation. This time it was going to work. She wasn't going to get dumped on. She wasn't going to get left at the altar. She was going to get pregnant.
What is this book?
What the fuck?
I was like jaw dropped edge of my seat when this was happening. I was just like, what happened? She was already so crazy, and then she took a left turn into like really, really crazy. So they they go to a place that's like a chili dogs and beer place. I don't remember why. Is somebody recommended it or something?
Well, because he's like, we're going to try to get her to a fun place. We're going to have some beers.
Yeah,
we're going to throw some.
Because he's kind of trying to comfort her.
Yeah, but Pat is simultaneously being like, I want to go to a fun place, but I also don't really want to put anything sharp into her hand because she seems as though she could hurt herself or others.
Right.
He's literally thinking, should I let her go upstairs because will she jump out the window?
Right. And he actually says to her, are you going to jump out the window? And she's like, ha ha ha. The window's not high enough.
Yes!
No, I'm not suicidal, but like, what a silly way to do it, because the window's not high enough.
She goes, the worst I could do is break my knees. And he's like, not if you went head first. And I'm like, Pat, you fucker, what are you doing? And she goes, but that would ruin my hair.
Level of crazy. It's so terrifying. It's like it took a turn into a slasher movie.
It did. All of a sudden, bananas. So her whole plan is they're going to go to have this meal. She's going to get a knock your socks off proposal out of nowhere. And then they'd rush back here and jump into bed.
Yes.
And then she goes, she really had her life under control now. Good thing she was such a level-headed person. Some women would have gone off the deep end after losing a baby, but not her. She was flexible. She could find creative solutions to problems like this. Like losing a baby.
Some women would go off the deep end after losing a baby.
I know.
Not your baby.
Yeah.
Not your baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some women would go off the deep end. One of them is you, Megan.
Well, and also, like, I don't know, that triggered me on a lot of levels
now
that I
that
can
I'm
barely
saying it
even
out loud,
articulate.
I can see that that's true.
No, I know, but like,
But this isn't losing a baby. I mean, there's something very wrong with actually saying what would normally commonly be meant by some women would go off the deep end after losing a baby.
Right.
That's its own pile of no. But this isn't even losing a baby. Like, just calling what happened to her losing a baby is not...
This was not... Timmy is fine. Timmy is exactly where he should be.
I almost was like, wait, I had to go back and be like, did Tilly say you guys can have him forever or something?
No.
And that's why I had to go back and be like, no, she actually specifically said 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So they go to the
she's
chili
now...
dog.
Wait. I'm sorry. We do have to set up. She's very much in the place of like, we can get married right now. I can't wait for him to propose. He's been talking about proposing to me. This is obviously the night. I have no indication that that's what he thinks, but this is what I think. Meanwhile... in his inner monologue, he's saying at least they no longer had the pressures of an instant family. There really was no reason they had to get married immediately. So, like, they are they're in different books. They're not on different pages. Right. They're in different books right now.
Because she's baby crazy. Because that's real in this book.
Right.
So they're driving. And she's like, what if when we have sex tonight, I don't get pregnant?
Right.
I probably should have sex with him now.
Uh-huh.
Just in case.
Yeah, it suddenly occurred to her that if they did it in the car, she'd have a head start on the evening. After all, it might not happen in the first time. She hadn't calculated the correct time. They might have to do it day and night for an entire month. Besides, she wasn't sure she trusted those sperm. What if they got discouraged and swam the wrong way?
What? What does that even mean?
I don't even know what that means.
Of her gourd.
You're not a duck. There are no decoy canals in there. Okay?
Oh my God.
Then she starts getting up on him in the car. And there are 3 teenagers outside. They've plastered their face onto the side of a stranger's car when 2 people are making out inside. And she says, "Take me, you animal," she cried, struggling to keep him prone. "Megan, for Pete's sake, we're in a parking lot." And then he's like, there are 2 kids there.
Watching.
And
she says, "Steam up the windows fast so they can't see." As if he can just be like, and steam up those windows.
She wants to Titanic this nonsense. Yes. So that they...
You know what I think of?
You guys.
Do you remember the episode of The Office? I think this may have been like a cold open on The Office. Where Michael comes in and says that he saw a special about Angelina Jolie adopting like 15 babies from wherever.
Yes.
And he's decided he wants one too. And Pam says it'll be like tens of thousands of dollars and like an 8-month waiting period at least to even get the application in. And he's like, 8 months? I don't even know if I want a baby in 8 months. And she's like, exactly. That's what this reminds me of. It's like, it could be a month before I get pregnant. What will I do? And it's like, if your whole thing is you can't wait a month to get pregnant, like,
you gotta slow down. You gotta know.
You're not in the right headspace to become a parent. It's a long-term commitment, not a short-term now sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. They go get chili dogs.
So they go to the bar.
Okay. This
is bananas.
Okay. So she gets a kamikaze dog. We don't know what's on it, but we know that it comes with a full bottle of Pepto-Bismol. Free of charge.
It comes in an Alka-Seltzer packet, but yes.
What I wanted to be is that it came with a full bottle of Pepto-Bismol free of charge, because that's what I heard.
That would have been amazing.
When I listened to this yesterday, I was driving through a straight up blizzard, like hazardous conditions of Alaska yesterday. We had record snowfall yesterday. We got like over a foot in a day. And so I wasn't like listening super hard at times. And what I want it to have been is a full bottle of Pepto-Bismol.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah. And also very Janet Evanovich.
Yeah, it would have been.
So she gets a kamikaze dog for no reason.
And she is like trying to get him to propose to her. And it's very obvious that he's not going to do it.
No.
And so she's like, you know what? I'm a modern woman.
I'm modern? It's 1988, apparently. I can ask him. So instead of just saying, Pat, I've been thinking about it. And what I would like to do is get married to you. I think that we're both ready and we should get married, and I do love you.
Yeah.
Which may have worked.
Maybe.
For her scheme. What she does say out loud is something like, I want you to put a baby in me tonight.
I got it. So, I mean, in her defense, she keeps on trying to ask him things, and he keeps on being like, What is it? You want my chili dog? So finally she breaks down and she goes, "Not even close, Hunter," she shouted. "I want your baby."
Oh my God.
You want to marry me or what?
Because it's a loud, crowded bar. Now the whole bar is looking.
And then the bartender yells louder, "We can't hear."
Yeah.
Because he's like stumbling over his words, trying to
say no.
Well, how about it? You want to get married? We could make our own baby. It would be even better than adopting Timmy. And the great part is, no one would take him away from us. We don't have to hire a lawyer or go to court or anything. All we have to do is go to bed.
I love that we went from, oh my God, this woman has left her baby with us, to we must have this baby. We must hire private investigators and lawyers in order to secure it for ourselves forever because she's a terrible mother and we don't want the baby to go back to her.
Yeah, and that narrative was borderline like, we need to fudge the facts to make sure everybody thinks Tilly's a bad mom when she hasn't been a bad mom up until this point.
Right. To, we can no longer have Tilly's baby. To, we can make a better baby. Fuck that baby. Our baby is going to be baby 2.0. That's an even better baby than Tilly's shitty baby. Which I was just like, God damn it, justice for Timmy. Like, Timmy was a fine baby. Nothing wrong with Timmy. Although we wouldn't know if there was because no one checked.
Not a single person checked.
So he says in so many words, no. Then, over one of their shoulders, we see Dave, who knew where to go to find
Pat, because Pat has answering service.
Yeah. And that answering service said, they're at the chili dog place?
Yeah, I guess.
And then he's very like, oh, well, I came out here. I didn't know you had a boyfriend or whatever. And it's like, well, you got Pat's answering service, which maybe would indicate that she has a boyfriend or whatever. So he sits down, eats her kamikaze dog. She's so crazy at this point because now she's not only the baby crazy that she was before she left for the chili dog place. Now she's the having been rejected for the third or fourth time in marriage. And so now she's just like, she's on fire with her Looney Tunes brain.
She's got eyes as big as saucers right now.
I have to say, I have
just
to read
fuming.
it. Because she's very like, fuck this, I will marry anyone that asks now. It can be Pat, it can be Dave, I don't care, someone will marry me tonight. Which is a lot.
It's scary.
Oh, here it goes. He didn't want to marry her, fine. She'd marry somebody else. She'd marry anyone else. She'd marry Dave if she had to.
Yeah.
Dave comes over. He literally lifts her up off the floor. Dave's a giant man. He lifts her weightless form off the floor 2 feet to smooch her face because that's how far apart their faces are.
No, to kiss her on the forehead.
Oh, worse. Okay, so then she sidles up next to Dave, feeling his huge biceps and all of that. Yeah. And she's like, ooh, Dave. And then he's like, I know you. Do you have a boyfriend or like, what's this? And she's like, no, I definitely am not with him. I'm free as a bird. So he's like, great, glad you said that. I'm going to propose to you. What?
Look, I got the ring that I took back from you. I kept it. I didn't know why. I guess it's because I thought maybe it would find itself back to you.
Okay. So then, he does propose to her, but he also says, he goes over to Pat and he's like, hey, just so I go into this with my eyes open, why didn't you want to marry her?
Wait, just a sec. I'm sorry. I have to tell listener how this is worded. Okay. Because it says, hey, I'd like to do some grabbing, Dave said. I'm even prepared to pay for my grabs. He reached into his pocket and extracted a small blue velvet case. Look, sugar, do you know what this is? And that's when he shows her the ring.
Yeah.
As payment to grab her to put his paws on her body.
Yes.
It's incredible.
But it's because she says, I'm up for grabs. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's like grab literally. I think it is like, I want to marry you grab, but it's still not okay.
So, he's like, I got to go into this with my eyes open. Why did you reject her? And Dave says, oh, because she's pregnant and she wanted me to marry her so that the baby would have a dad on its birth certificate.
What?
And he's like, is that your cake in her oven?
Is that your cake in her oven?
Which is like, it's extra. You want to know something weird about my brain?
Mm-hmm.
That is an extra gross metaphor for me just because cake starts as batter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like sperm.
Yeah.
cake batter. I don't know. So she's like, no, I'm not pregnant. And Dave is, and what's his name? Pat is like, no, it's denial.
Right. Like a crazy baby ladies. Like he says denial is the first form of like after an unwed mother gets pregnant.
Yes.
Denial is the first step. It's so rough.
He says it's common for pregnant women to stutter and get overly emotional. I know about these things. I'm a doctor.
But also,
and then Dave is like, a doctor? No joke? Boy, that's great.
Yeah, great for you. Listen. I just want to point out again that this all started because Dave says to Pat, why won't you marry her, as if she's a commodity? And Pat says, because she's pregnant. What is that even a funny joke? Like,
no, I don't
know if we even really started with the fundamental here of like, what? Why did he even say that? It's not true. It's not funny.
Also, why would you say that to a woman in her current emotional landscape?
Yeah.
Like, she's got a lot of terrain to traverse right now.
You were thinking about how to go out for Ethiopian food so that she could just use her hands instead of a knife.
Yeah, because you didn't want to put cutlery into her hands, Pat. And this is what you pull?
Yeah. So then what they decide. In
front of her.
I hope you guys have waited like an hour and a half into this podcast to get to this place of just banana pants insanity. Okay. They decide that they will have a competition and the loser have to marry Megan.
And they're going to play darts for her, for not her.
No, they're not fighting for her. They're fighting for the obligation. They're fighting against the obligation of marriage to her.
Yeah.
I don't even know where this comes from. Why would one of them have to marry her at all?
I don't know.
Why can't they just be like, oh man, we both screwed up by ever being associated with this crazy woman. Let's go home. High five. Why do they think that they have to? So then, the beefy one says arm wrestling. The nerdy one says chess. They meet in the middle on darts.
Yeah.
So Pat throws a dart and it hits a bullseye. So that is he is a good at darts. So then he throws that was a practice dart. So because Pat is a dart, he's able to aim good at dart.
Yes. And meanwhile, Dave is like, you're a dart shark. This isn't fair.
Yeah, whatever.
Dart shark. I'm going to lose and have to marry her. I hate her.
Yeah. So then Pat winks at... He turns to her and says, it's okay, baby. I'm going to try to lose before he does the bullseye, which is like, I don't know.
It's Gaslight Central is what it is.
So then he winks at her, throws his second dart, and hits Dave in the butt.
In the booty parts.
And then it's very like he's a baby about it, and it's a whole thing. So then,
no, don't come here. Tried to kill me. Don't come near me, you crazy doctor.
Right.
Rah, rah, rah.
Rah, rah, rah. And then there's a whole thing about whether he did it on purpose. We still don't know. We never will. I'm sure he did.
Never.
They are driving him home. She's like, okay, Dave, where are we taking? I think they take him to the hospital, actually, to get a tetanus shot. Then they take him home. And she's like, Dave, where are we taking you? And he's like, well, I just assumed I'd be staying with you.
Yeah.
So then she's like, okay. And then kicks Pat out of her car.
At his house.
It's like, bye, Pat. Goodbye.
Goodbye forever.
Leave.
You don't want to marry me.
Takes Dave home, puts him on the couch or whatever.
Then she nurses him for 2 days with her mom.
Yeah. And then,
but then her mom and dad leave. They go back to Florida to be Florida people. And
and then Pat shows up at her house.
Because he's like, I've been without her for 2 days and I miss her or whatever. And no, it's even worse. He's jealous because he doesn't want Dave is still there.
Yeah. It's like, get Dave out of here. I am not comfortable with Dave being here. And it's like, you just played a game with a man where the loser had to marry this woman. You have no place to be like, Dave can't be at your house. But she does. But then that's fine.
No, it's even worse. So then he shows up at the door and she's like, he's on the couch. And he's like, does he have pants on? And she's like, no, he has an ass wound. And he's like, Dave is in your house without pants? And so then he finally like doctors him and gives him a Novocaine shot in his butt so that he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever. And then she's like, I'm packing up and leaving forever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, but I will miss you, ? Sort of.
Yeah. The decision to leave forever comes out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
She says she's leaving to move to Alexandria because that's where she sells most of her pots, as if she has to be in the place where the pots are sold.
Right.
And doesn't even mention her job at Colonial Williamsburg, which you would think you would have to live. I don't know how far away Alexandria and they're far. They are far. I know
They're
them
far.
to be far because I lived in DC.
She's
I remember
basically
this.
quitting her job and starting over in a new place. She never wants to see Colonial Williamsburg again,
right?
Because it reminds her of Pat, and Pat is there.
And she just starts packing a suitcase as if that's what moving is.
That's right. And then he starts unpacking the suitcase as if that's what dissuading a person from moving is.
Okay. Then she gets in her car with her one suitcase because, again, that's all her possessions.
That's what
I don't know.
is?
And she's rocketing down the highway toward Alexandria. Pat is in his shitty car that he's said that he has this shitty car because he can't afford a nice car, because if he got a nice car, he would have to fire his receptionist. He's behind her. His brakes go out and he rear-ends her.
And he rear-ends her hard. Like
on
he
the highway.
accordions her hood into another car.
Right.
And then he like gets her out and checks her for soft and hard injuries. I don't know what doctors do.
I don't know. So then she's totaled her car. Now she's trapped at her farmhouse because she couldn't move to nowhere in Alexandria. I do not believe she purchased a house or an apartment.
To no plans.
So she couldn't move to no plans. And no plans Alexandria. And then she's there. They have like sex?
He's like, they do. They have pretend sex. They say they're going to pretend for one more night.
Pretend sex for one night. And then so then he leaves. She's trapped there because she doesn't have a car. Her car is worth $100. Her car is totaled. They're going to give her $150, y'all. $150.
And you know what? You know what is the worst part about this, you guys? She's trapped at that farmhouse with that fucking fat horse that she hates.
She hates this fat horse. She loves horses, but she hates this shitty
But she hates that
horse.
one because it's so
can't
fucking
even
fat.
lose weight. And then so the owner of the horse is like gone for a couple of days and has asked her to like go out and feed it an apple.
No,
because that's what she does.
No,
that's what she does.
No, it's crazy.
That's
no,
what she thinks
they ask
horses.
her.
She just gives it an apple. Okay, so he comes over and brings her groceries, I think, because she's trapped there. That's nice, I guess. So then...
When he's trying to get it in some more,
but it didn't,
on the side. But then she doesn't see him for like 3 days, and she's going stir crazy, and she misses him.
So she goes out to this horse.
And it's pouring. And she goes out to this poor fat horse.
And it's sad.
Horse is miserable.
It doesn't look good.
And it's pacing around.
Being weird. And so she's like...
And I'm like, I know what's going on.
It's so fat.
So fat. So she tries to call the vet to be like, can you fix my fat horse? Do you have a liposuction machine? I hate her.
So then she calls a pediatrician to fix a horse.
Yep.
It reminds me so much of Rick and Morty, where the wife is a horse doctor, like specifically. It's like a horse surgery.
But that's also a real job.
Doctor, she calls a pediatrician,
a local pediatrician.
So he comes out. Oh. Also, he bought her a new car when he brought the groceries.
Oh yeah, he bought her a car. So he doesn't have a receptionist now.
Doesn't he need a new car or like fixed brakes or something? Like, doesn't he also need a new car? Because didn't he ram his car into her car and it also had no brakes when this happened?
What about this doesn't track in this book?
Okay, I'm sorry. It just occurred to me. So then he drives his car with no brakes, apparently, out to the farmhouse to check on the horse, and he finds out, oh my god, the horse is pregnant.
The horse is super fucking pregnant. It's in labor, you guys.
The owner didn't know that? And then it takes all of 2 paragraphs. This book that has spent chapters talking to me about Duke of Gloucester Street or whatever. It takes 4 sentences to deliver a horse baby. And there it is.
Including
the horse baby.
Him putting his arm all the way up that horse's poon and like fixing a hoof so that it can come out.
Again,
because
pediatrician.
This poor Well, and this poor fat-shamed horse has just been in distress because it cannot birth its baby. You mean, horrible person.
So,
how dare you?
This horse shits out a smaller horse.
Yeah.
And then they're there with their, like, their new horse that they've birthed.
And then all of a sudden, Pat's like, every obstacle that I put up in front of myself no longer matters because horses can have babies.
Well, and also, like, you know how she said she wanted a horse?
Is this the horse she gets?
Is this the horse she gets, or is this the horse she takes? Because she has a history.
She does have a history of taking things that are not hers.
And I believe that this is the horse that's meant to be her horse in the book. I see you holding your boobs. I know. I'm distressed about it as well.
Am mad.
So then they're just sitting there. The placenta's sliding out of the horse. They're just sitting there, and they're just like, Christmas wedding?
Yeah.
Sure.
All of a sudden, both of them are like, so we're going to get married now.
Yeah. And this book that I've wanted to be over for weeks, I turn the page and I'm just like, what? That's the end?
This is the climactic scene with a horse that was mentioned one time 3/4 of the way in?
Yeah. Christmas wedding? Sure. Turn page, no more book. Not that I'm upset, but like I'm a little upset. Like, what? I invested in this book.
$30 and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears,
yes.
Frankly.
All right, well.
So horses can have babies so they can get married.
That is the worst book I've ever read.
Yeah.
Do you have a lady love?
God, I do. And it's a good one.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I was reflecting today because I really am thankful for a lot. And part of it is that we can read things like this and still have a really, really fun time together. And then I started thinking about all of the connections that we've made because of this podcast. And so my lady love is in 2 parts. One, if you haven't already, or even if you have already, listen to the Wicked Wallflowers Club episode 103. It is Angelina M. Lopez because she just published Lush Money, which I've heard is incredible. So the first part of it is really fun for like you and me, Erin, because it's all about how Angelina was one of the first listeners to Wicked Wallflowers Club. Like, I think she was the Spartacus of the Spartaci for them. And in the episode, she talks about how finding romance podcasts was really, really nice because it was one of the first times that she was like, oh my gosh, this is such a cool, easy way to connect with people and listen to really smart, badass women talk about this thing that we all love so much. And so that was a fun thing for me to listen to just because, you know, we're one of the romance podcasts out there. But then part of the interview is all about her journey to becoming an author because it took her about 20 years.
Wow.
She raised kids. She was doing things. She put manuscripts into publishers, and she was rejected a bunch, and she realized that the rejection wasn't a rejection forever. It helped fuel her into becoming a better writer. And so Lush Money is her debut novel after 20 years of like working toward it. And part of the interview was so awesome because she was like, I personally knew that I couldn't be the romance author I wanted to be while I was raising kids. A lot of women are capable of doing it, and she just knew that that wasn't in her at that time. And so it's really, really cool because we have so many authors who listen to this who are like, when am I going to get my break? Or like, you know, with her, it's a little bit different because self-publishing didn't really exist when she started her like journey to being a romance author. And she knew she wanted to go the traditional publishing route. But she was like, a lot of it is like Jenny and her talking about how you need to be kind to yourself. And like, even if you're just writing one scene for Penthouse, like Jenny does once a month, she's like, if that's the only words that I get down on paper, I'm okay with that because I know that I'm still honing my craft, even in a tiny way, like the smallest way that I'm capable of. So that episode is just so empowering in so many different ways. And it got me like thinking about how grateful I am for this tiny sisterhood of podcasts that we have found ourselves in. So if you haven't yet, please go listen to Wicked Wallflowers Club, listen to Fated Mates. Jen and Sarah are talking about romance in some of the smartest ways I've ever heard. I mean, that's just how they work, and it's incredible. And then Black Chick Lit is about more than just romance, and they talk about so many different topics. They talk about news and over all of the literary genre.
I know I've mentioned it before, but their version of The Wedding Date.
Yes.
If you enjoyed us slamming The Wedding Date, you will definitely enjoy that group of friends slamming The Wedding Date.
Yeah, because they had Mocha Girl on there and a couple of other people. They had some guests on there too for that one.
And not people that usually read romance, all of them.
Yes.
Which I thought was really interesting. And from obviously a very different perspective than we read it. And
correct.
Also, did not like the book that much.
Right.
It's a really funny episode.
Yeah.
They
so
also
Wicked Wallflowers Club,
interviewed
Fated
Beverly
Mates.
Jenkins, which was a great episode.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Incredible. So Wicked Wallflowers Club, Fated Mates, Black Chick Lit. I'm so thankful to brush shoulders with them and exist in the same ecosystem and support each other. And I would love for all of our listeners to support them too. So that's my lady love.
What a beautiful lady love.
Thank you.
They make these olives in little packets. They're little snack olives. I encountered them first in the Mediterranean tapas snack pack on Alaska Airlines flights. It's usually the snack pack I get when they get to the back and they're all out of the regular meal options. If I happen to get seated in the back, which is how dare they? Do they know who I am?
Right.
I'm an MVP.
I know.
But sometimes it happens, and I get the Mediterranean tapas snack pack. And they have this little packet of olives that are packed loose without the juice, and they're garlic flavored, and they're delicious. And if you just Google up a snack olive pouch, you're going to find them. There are several different brands. I prefer the Mario brand. However, it's whatever floats your boat, because there's different flavors. There's chili pepper flavors. There's sweeter flavors. There's garlicky flavors, herby flavors. And I don't like an olive. I will pick an olive off of my pizza, but I like these olives.
Huh.
And they're only they're just a little snack. It's great.
Fun.
Yep. It's pretty much the same as your lady love. Because yours was sisterhood and podcasting and living your dreams and pursuing something relentlessly for 20 years until you can finally manifest it. And mine was a tiny little packet of snack olives.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. These are my favorite pairings of Lady Loves.
Me too. And I don't know why I continue to let you go first. Because every time you're like, I have one, yours is this. Every time you're excited about it. And I'm like, sure, fucking go first. That's fine. Whatever you want. Every time I fuck up by doing that. Every time. I'm like, here's an ice cream bar. Although
that has become the cult ice cream.
Yeah, because remember that was the time that you were mad about abortion laws. Not that you'd become not mad about abortion laws, but that was the time that you went on for 10 minutes about how we need to really fight this evil in the world. And I said ice cream bars, and guess what caught on in the cult?
Oh yeah,
not fighting abortion laws, but rather the yogurt bars. So 0.1 for Erin. I'm also sure that fighting abortion laws also caught on in the cult.
There was a lot of fighting abortion
and
laws
also we donated
cult.
Thousands of dollars to Yellow Hammer Fund because of that was because such a big thing in the cult. Anyway, you can find us at God, I started off with so much gusto and then it just came right down. Facebook, Heaving Bosoms Podcast. Facebook group is the Heaving Bosoms Podcast Geriatric Friendship Cult. 1,500 members and growing strong.
Crazy.
No assholes, all nice people.
Yeah.
Instagram, Heaving Bosoms. Is that it?
That's right.
Good.
At Heaving Bosoms,
that's it.
Yes.
Twitter, Heaving_Bosoms. Website, heavingbosoms.com. Go there. And click the thing in the upper left-hand corner. If you want things like the Heaving Bosoms Reading Embrace 2019, you're too late, guys. It's November. You're too late. You cannot start that Reading Embrace, but some people can finish it.
Listen, no, you can start it. It's an embrace.
It's an embrace because it's we don't want to. If people start it, they're gonna feel not embraced. They're gonna feel stressed.
Make whatever you read
Just
this year
wait.
fit into the categories. Doesn't even matter.
Sure, yeah. Just wait though. Just wait till Reading Brace 2020. Listen, merch. There's merch in there. Our
There's
Redbubble merch.
Yeah.
What else? I don't know. Our FAQ is pretty good.
Yeah, the FAQ
There you
is a hidden gem.
heavingbosoms.podcast@gmail.com for all your questions and concerns. All right.
Yeah, email us about anything, you guys.
Email us all
We're
the time.
always here to listen.
We might answer, we might not, but we will read it.
That's right.
All right.
All right. Keeping a badass and love yourself as much as you love that poor fat horse. And justice for that.
I was going to say napkin dick jokes, but I like poor fat horse.
For that goddamn pregnant horse.
God, why would that horse just lose weight?
God damn
what a
it.
shitty, slovenly horse. God.
I'm going to get
when
a
I get a
horse,
it's going to be a good horse that's pretty.
Yeah.
Not the shitty, dull-coated mess of a horse. I'm going to give it one sliver of hay. All right.
That's right.
We got to read a good book soon. Let's read a good one soon.
Yeah,
we have a good one soon. It's going to be fine.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I love you tons, Erin.
Love you. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.